I'm President William L. Atchison with Texas Clearwater Systems, and we're going to show you how to install a baptistry. When you get your baptistry in, providing you had a model like this, of course we can't show you what all the models are, but this is probably the most difficult to put in. And so the first thing that we do is we put it on the floor and we level it and check it to be level. We'll check it here, and it's level. We'll check it here, and it's level. We'll check it across this way, and it's level, and then we also have checked the other sides. The next thing we will check is the shelf, what we call the shelf, and we put that on there, and that shows level. Go here, shows level. Across this way, shows level. Across this way, shows level. The next step is we're going to measure the length of this, and we want to get, in this particular case, about 40 inches would be fine. And we already have it measured 32 inches across. We found that to be the proper width for it. So we're going to put it in there and balance it one side to the other, about in the middle. It rocks just a little bit, so we're going to shift the sides just a little bit to take that rock out of it, put the level on it. When they build these baptistries, it's very difficult for them to get it exactly flat. Okay, that took the rock out of it and made it level. Now what we have done is we've taken this piece of plywood and we've built a 2x4 frame around it, which will show you why we did that here in just a little while. The next thing we have done is cut us a 16 by 32, keeping that same width, and then cut a hole right in the center, right where the hole is in the baptistry itself. This piece will sit on here and will become the foundation for the bottom. And we'll show you the rest as we go. Okay, now we have built the frame that basically the baptistry is going to sit on. We've cut the hole out for the drain and also a hole to bring the drain out. This section here will tie in with this, which we'll show you here in just a minute. Like that. Okay, in just a few minutes we'll show you how we tie this together. Now you can see how we built the structure to hold the weight of the shelf. This part of the baptistry and this part is going to carry most of the weight of the water. We have leveled this every way. Shot the legs in to where everything's level. And so once we turn it over, then the baptistry itself will be level. In just a few minutes we're going to turn it over and we're going to start another phase of the project. Okay, this can show you the structure from the bottom side. As you can see, this is the hole where the suction will go through, and of course then also through here, so it'll come right through here and go to where the system's going to sit. The seat shelf will sit on there, and so we have cut the holes out for the different fittings, and if you come closer here we'll show you. We positioned all the holes where we felt they needed to be. The bottom hole down here is the suction. That's where the water is going to be sucked into the system. This hole here is for the fast fill spout. This hole here is for the overflow. This hole here is for the return jet where the water will return. This hole here is for the skimmer kit that will be put on here after a while. And then this hole up here is where the control will be mounted to work the system. And we're going to go ahead now, and our next step will be to put these fittings in, and then we'll show you what they look like afterwards. Okay, we're going to demonstrate to you how to put a fitting in the wall. We have marked out, at 5 inches down, we have marked out for the overflow fitting. We recommend that you drill about an 1/8 inch hole as a pilot so that you don't lose your your larger drill doesn't slip around on you. We've taken a 2.5-inch hole saw, set it up in our drill. Always check your fitting like this. And it should just kind of rub when it goes in. Make sure you have the right drill size, because it's easy to make a mistake. And if you make a mistake, then you've ruined your baptistry. Okay? Now when you drill your hole, you want to wallow it just a little bit so that the plug comes out of your drill. So watch what we do here. Okay? Normally we drill all the holes and then we wash the baptistry down. But just for demonstration purposes this morning, we're only going to drill just the one hole. I'm going to show you how to put it in. Okay? You get your silicone. And by the way, we use only aquarium silicone. My advice to you is to get on the internet. Do not trust the silicone that you get at Lowe's or Home Depot. Get on the internet and order out 3 tubes of aquarium silicone. There's several brands. This is made by Marineland. This silicone will hold the window and hold your fittings much more superior than regular silicone, and it will attach itself to the smooth surface of the baptistry. Now, first thing you're going to do is you're going to apply silicone in about a 1/4 inch bead to the back of your fitting. Notice how we're trying to be neat and stay off the threads. Okay, once I complete that, then I put this in. Also take, put a bead around the opening against this right here. And make sure we get a good seal. Okay. And then you can use these paper rings, but we don't most of the time because there's always that chance of those things causing a leak. What we do, hand tighten it the best we can, and we get our big pliers. And we tighten fitting as much as we can. Now, you have to be very careful because you can break these fittings. They are plastic. You want to get them snug. That's what I call snug. Okay? Then take your finger, smooth that silicone around to where it will stop any kind of vibration of that thing turning loose, and also to seal it some more. Now, Javier will show you in just a moment how to clean the inside off. Okay, we highly advise you to pick up a small can of denatured alcohol, buy a little cheap spray bottle, and then watch how he does this. Before you touch the silicone on the inside, you spray this denatured alcohol all around it. It's going to run down the baptistry, don't worry about that. Wipe off the excess, and then spray it again. Okay, and then spray it again. Come back with another clean part of the cloth and get it good and clean. That way you don't have the mess. And then take a clean rag and wipe the excess that ran down the wall of the baptistry off. That's it, just like that. Okay. Now, see how neat that is? There's no excess on the outside. Very neat. And that will set and look very, very good. Okay, when you install the ozonation box, it's best for you to mount it up on a vertical place like this here. And there's a couple screws to the top, one in the bottom. And then you're also going to have this cord, or this hose, that's going to attach to the bottom, which we'll do here in a few minutes. And you have a cord going to it that is going to go to the main brain or unit that we have. And then, once you get that, then you can just close the box, like that. And then you have the Wi-Fi unit. Now, in just a few minutes we're going to show you how to connect this into the main unit. But one of the things that's extremely important right now is that you record the serial number or the Wi-Fi number off the back of the unit, because you're going to need that when you hook up to your smartphone. So right now we're going to record onto this piece of paper that came with it, and that's got to be kept very safely somewhere. We're going to record the number that is on the back of this. And this particular one is W704WG0M4B. And the model number is WF-100, and the serial number is 1545014. And as I said, it's going to be very important that you keep these numbers safely somewhere. If something happens and you lose them, then you're going to have to get under here and you're going to have to take the unit off from its mounting, and you're going to have to re-record them. Okay, we'll show you more about it here in a few minutes. Get ready to hook the spa side control to the Wi-Fi to make the Wi-Fi control the unit. You're going to have to open this, take the 4 screws out, and open up the back of the unit. The Wi-Fi plugs in right here in the back of the spa side control plugs into the back of the Wi-Fi unit right there. And then be very careful when you put these ribbons out that you keep them flat. And then when you put the cover back on here, and then this goes on there like that. And then you put your screws back in the back. And then screw that back together. Okay, then you will take and connect the Wi-Fi into the unit backwards like that, okay? Then make sure these clamps come down against it on the side so that it won't turn loose later. Then you take your cord, your ribbon, whichever you would want to call it, and you take it up and go out through the side like this. Okay? And then we'll mount this here in just a few minutes. Now you're going to take your cord from your pump. See, it says pump on it. You'll see a label up here that says pump and ozonator. So you're going to take this cord and you're going to put it in whichever way it fits, which is right like that. And then you're going to take the ozonator cord and do the same thing, wherever it is. There it is. And again, whichever way it fits, which in this case is this way. Okay, now your pump and your ozonator is connected up. Your Wi-Fi is connected up. We are just putting a temporary line on here for testing purposes. Whenever you put your final electric in, you have to have the proper kind of connector here and so forth. And you've got to have a minimum of number 8. Remember that this unit is only 220. So you will have a neutral ground, you'll have 110 here and 110 here. And you never put 110 by itself to this unit. It's strictly a 220 unit. Okay, now we're going to put the cover back on here and then later we will test this. When you get ready to put the cover on, just remember that these cords have to come out the bottom and your Wi-Fi has to come out the bottom. So just put that in that slot right there, which will hold it in place, and then later you'll knead it up. Then put your cover back on, and of course your screws in the cover. In just a few minutes we're going to show you the top side, but right now from the bottom we're going to show you the plumbing system. Coming out from the bottom of the baptistry underneath here, we have the suction, which we'll show you after we bring it back down to the floor level. The suction comes through. There's a T. Off of the T we put the main drain valve. When you open this valve, it will allow the system to drain. Past this valve, we have another T, which brings two things that we want to go only to sewer, and that is the filter drain and the overflow. In other words, if this baptistry was to overflow, it must go straight to the city sewer and not be stopped by this valve. Whenever we change the filter out, we want to be able to drain the filter, and that's what this will do. So if we were to change the filter on this system, we would shut this valve, we would shut this valve, and we would shut this valve. Okay? With this valve, and this valve shut, the system is isolated from the baptistry, allowing you to drain the filter. We would open this valve as you see it here. We would open the bleeder valve on the filter, and you would hear the air begin to suck the water down. When you quit hearing the air, then you'll know that the filter has been drained, and you can then proceed to take the filter out. When you take the filter out, you can actually spot here, lift this ring up off, and then you can take the filter and take it out. Now, we recommend that every 6 months that you take the filter out and you clean it, you will be supplied with also an extra filter. You'll take the filter out, you'll take it out to a water hose, and you will take a water hose and you will wash that filter just as clean as you can get it. When you finish with that, then you're going to get a 5-gallon bucket, and you're going to take the cleaning solution that we furnish you with the system. You're going to fill the bucket full of water, put 1/3 of a bottle of the cleaning solution in here, and also just a pinch of the shock. We'll show you the shock later when we get ready to do the chemistry. Once you have soaked that for 12 hours, you take it back outside, rinse it again, turn it upside down, soak it for another 12 hours. Once you've done that, take it out, rinse it, and then take and empty your bucket and let the filter drip dry. Once it drips dry, then it's ready to be used again. These filters should last you about 15 years. Now, when you get ready to put the system back together, you put your filter in, and you then apply the filter back in like that. Make sure this gets down tight. Put the ring back on. And just hand tighten it. No more than that. Never use a wrench. Then you will turn your filter drain off right here. You'll open up all three of your isolation valves, and you're going to hear water coming in. This will hiss until finally water comes out of here. When it comes out of here, then shut that. Now we advise you to run the system for a couple minutes, shut it back off, and rebleed this to make sure you're getting all of the air out of the system. So remember now, to isolate the system, to work on the system, you will cut the power off, the power source to the unit. You'll open up the drain valve for the filter. You will shut all three of these isolation valves off. If for some reason you want to drain the baptistry, then you'll simply open up this valve right here, and that will allow you to drain the baptistry. But if you do that, make sure the power to the unit is off. Now these valves have a tension on them, which means if they're loose, then they're going to leak a little bit. So if you sense that they're leaking while you're doing the filter, then you want to go back and tighten up these rings just a little bit to get a little more tension back on them. Okay? Now let's go around here. We'll show you again. This, by the way, this heating unit and drain, the water can go through either way. On this system here, we recommend that the filter be after the pump. And I want you to notice something on the back of the pump. You see 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. This pump comes with the exhaust head going up. So if you want to do like we did here, turn it, loosen those 4 bolts, pull the bolts out about that far, spin the head to the direction you want, and put it back together, tightening the bolts, but be sure don't over tighten them because you can break them out of here. And that pretty well shows the plumbing system. By the way, the ozonation comes off the venturi, goes above the water line, and then attaches here, and then the line that feeds the ozone into the system comes off the bottom of your ozonator right here. This is your ozonator. I think we've showed you this once already. There's your ozonator. This is not a UV. This is a corona discharge, a very high-tech system to create the ozone. This is your air pump, which pumps the ozone into the water. We have mounted the Wi-Fi here. We showed you earlier how to do that. Again, we'll tell you that you come off of your control, open up the Wi-Fi box and plug the Wi-Fi into the inside of this box, and then come off of the Wi-Fi into the plug-in part inside of here. And we've already showed you how to connect up the pump and the ozonator. So that pretty well should take care of your viewing, overflow, skimmer, main suction, return, water return, ozone line, right here, filter, pump, heater, and drain. Okay? Next time that we talk, we'll be talking with the unit down on the floor and we'll show you the fittings on the inside. This is your fast fill spout. You connect your water to the back side of the fast fill spout. You also have an auto level control right here, and this is a commode valve which is adjustable to allow you to adjust your water level inside and to keep the water level the same all the time. A regular commode connection hose goes on here. You would bring your water in, tee off, put a lever valve on this going to the fast fill, and on this side put a regular commode valve like you have under your commode, and then a hose to this. So you have fast fill and auto level. If you need to adjust this, you pop this little plastic cap off of here, back the screw off, put a little putty knife or something underneath there to keep a tension on it, screw it, and then it will slide sideways and come off. Your control, when you mount your control, it has a stick ring on the back. Sometimes they can be a little hard to get paper off of them. There we are. Pull your little paper off of there. And then when you put it on there, make sure that you line it up square with the tub and get it down. This has a film on it to protect it until the construction is done. Don't take that film off until you're ready to use the baptistry. This right here will be your LED, which will tell you the temperature. This will give you controls that you can use without the Wi-Fi, or you can use your smartphone and completely control it by your smartphone, no matter where you are. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to show you how to put the window in. Get this prepared for the window and put the window in. When you get ready to put your window in where it goes. Take your marker straight because you don't want to mark exactly the window. You want your mark to be about 1/4 of an inch away. So we're going to mark it. All the way up. Okay. This mark, and this is the outside, will become the cut line, which we'll show you in a few minutes, to install the window. Be very careful to make sure that you keep this window in the right direction, because if you cut the lines off up here, then you're going to have a mark in your window you can never get rid of. On the inside, we're going to mark this inside just so we don't get confused. We're going to put a 1/4 inch margin, and this will be for our silicon. I'll put it on this side. This is so we can have a silicon bead on the window, holding the window in, and we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a sharp knife. We're going to now take the straight edge, and we don't want to cut deep into the window. We want to just get this paper off of here. So we're going to lightly cut this right here, and then see if the paper comes off. Not quite cut deep enough. Alright. See, we want to just barely cut it deep enough to get the paper off. Same thing on the bottom. Just gentle pressure. hopefully the paper will come off. Like that. Over here. This will give us the bead lines for the silicon, and by leaving the paper on here, it'll keep the silicon from smearing on the window. Now we'll turn it back to the front side, and remember now that this line here is about a 1/4 inch in from the baptistry, which again will give us a bead line for the silicon. Now we do not recommend that you use regular silicon bought at Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere like that. The reason being is that silicon does not have the sticking power that aquarium silicon does. I'm going to score lightly, because this is going to be visual. I'm going to try to score just light enough to cut the paper and not cut into the window. There, that'll come off. There we go. Take your time pulling it off because you don't want to tear it. Keep a good smooth line. See how nice and neat that works. Okay, now you have all the sticking edge of both sides of the windows prepared, except for the sanding. Now, okay, we're going to take a 220 sandpaper, just a regular 220 sandpaper, and fold it over like that, and we're going to sand the part that we've uncovered. So we'll get this glaze off of here. So we're going to sand this. Don't worry about sanding it too much, you're not going to hurt it. You want to get that glaze off of there. This is very, very important because no matter whether you have a aquarium silicon or you have a standard silicon, anything is going to be very hard to stick to that coated plastic surface. When they make this plastic, they put a fine coat, kind of a wax-like coat on it, which creates a barrier to your silicon. And so you want to get that off. It's very important that you get it sanded right up next to that paper so that you get a good tight bead of the silicon against the window. I'm going to take my thumb and just do it that way. Same thing over here. This is one of the most difficult parts of having a baptistry is a window, because so many people have trouble with them breaking loose, leaking, causing damage around the baptistry. And that is unnecessary if you'll follow the instructions carefully that we're giving you today. Now we've got that side sanded. I'm going to flip it over to the back side, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sand the sticking edge. You don't have to sand this edge because that's been cut and it's already roughed up. We want to leave this paper on until the building construction is completed. But we also have to be able to pull the excess off of here of the silicon in order to get our fine bead against the glass. So to do that, we're going to put masking tape right barely over the edge of our paper, brown paper, so that we can pull this off whenever we get ready to clean the silicon off. We'll show you that when we do it. Again, just barely over the edge of that brown paper, a little extra, so that we pull it off, it pulls off all the silicon. We'll take the knife and cut that corners real nice and neat, very carefully so we don't cut into the glass. Okay. Flip over and do the same thing on this side. Okay, so that's going to allow us to clean the excess silicone off, and then we'll do a fine bead, which we'll show you later. We're going to prepare the tank and tape it so that we don't have to fight excess silicone. One of the worst things you can do is be stingy on the silicone when you're putting it on, because if you get bubbles behind it, there's nothing you can do about it. So what we're going to do is we want about a 1/4 inch margin of silicone as a bead when we finish. So we're going to tape it with about a 1/4 inch margin, like you see there. All along the finishing edge. Up over the top. We'll put another bead on here just so we don't have to fight that silicone, because that stuff sets very fast. If you don't make preparations ahead of time, and get into that and start setting on you, you're just in real trouble. So we don't want to have to fight excess. That's why we're doing this. Now, on the inside, we know that the glass is about a 1/2 inch thick, so we want to come out about 5/8 of an inch. allow for the bead of silicone. You can go as much as 3/4. Not that technical. Up the side and over the top. Now on the top, you're going to want a little margin of silicone there too, so tape off the area that you don't want to get silicone on. Here again, we're going to tape. In fact, we're going to use a little wider tape on this bottom. Cover the whole thing. Okay, now we're going to take the sandpaper, and again we're going to sand the edge of the area that's going to get the silicone. Get that wax off of there. Okay, now we're going to wipe that down. We're going to take an air nozzle and blow it dry, and blow it clean. If you don't have an air nozzle, you can use a lacquer thinner, which will do the same thing, but just be careful, because lacquer thinner will eat into the fiberglass. Okay, now what you want to do is get yourself a box that you can throw away. If you're going to have tape, silicone, what have you, and it's going to be trashed. So we're going to just take one of these boxes, cut the tops off and get it out of our way. put this in our work area. Okay. I'm also going to put a piece of cardboard down, just as a precaution on the seat. Oh, it's going to work. Because this stuff is not easy to get off. Two tubes of silicone. You're not going to use a full 2 tubes, but it's going to come mighty close. You want to get these tubes prepared. You want to cut. A good wide bead. And you want to pop the little diaphragm in there open. Prepare the tube. Okay. Now, you want to get everything ready. Get your window handy, your silicone handy, your rags handy. He's got the spray handy. And so now what we're going to do, knowing that we have just but a short time to work, we're going to start putting on the silicone. Now what we want to do is put so much on that we can work the window and squeeze it out. We're going to waste probably a half a tube of silicone, but it's better to waste a half a tube of silicone than end up with bubbles and something you can't fix. So we're going to start out right here. We're going to put a bead in the corner. Good heavy bead. All the way. Get that. And I'm going to start back over here. I'm going to put a bead on a heavy bead on the side. I'll try to make sure that I'm filling up any air gaps. And I may have to come back later and kind of pop some out if I get some. Here again, don't be afraid of excess. We got a little air gap right in there. Okay, and we'll come over on this side and do the same thing. And we'll go back and forth. Make sure I have a good bead of silicone on that. Here again, trying to get these air gaps out of it. That's the enemy to you. If you get those air gaps, you're going to see it. And that's it. That tube. very strenuous on the hand. Okay. Should be ready to put the window in. Now, I'll take the window, and I'll take and try to work this window. What we're doing now is we first of all take the large excess off of it, and we wipe it on the window here because this will just fall off. This is wax paper. And then we take and spray this on here. That's going to keep that surface from hardening. Okay? And then we're going to try to, as I said, keep this excess off of our fingers. Now we're going to try to smooth it. A good smooth bead along that window edge. Here again, we're going to spray it again. Keep that surface from drying on it. It'll start curdling. Now, I'm going to take this tape, now that I have most of the excess off. Okay. See, when I pull this off, I'm pulling the excess off with it. Because if I don't take this off, there'll be just a fine edge. pull it off at an angle like that so that you can even see the edge of that trying to curl. Okay. Now, let's take it and spray it again. I'll try to give it a really, make sure your finger's clean. Give it a final touch. Smooth in that silicone. How nice that smooths. Okay. Okay. Here again, we want to keep this wet so that it stays soft. Now we're going to take this tape off so we get rid of the beads. And here again, pull away from the joint. See, go up, because it might be underneath the silicone and you want to pull it out of it. Okay, I'm going to spray it again. keeping it wet. And then we're going to smooth it. Okay, should be it. That needs to set for at least 24 hours without being touched or moved. I thank you for purchasing one of these wonderful systems. May God bless you.